Is this where we play the Tonight Show music? Da, 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 da,
Yeah, you
da,
bet.
da, da, da. I should have a keyboard hooked up for that. So we need an Ed McMahon too. So
I don't know what's going on here, but it isn't working real good. Let's see if we can get it going.
all right, we are live. So here we are. Two handsome dudes who look actually better in AI art. Bernie's trying to work that out, guys. So
Yeah, I apologize for this, but
see, there we go. Mike Silva. He says, "Where is that sexy beast Bernie on the stream again?" Woo-hoo! Tell you what, that's right. That's right, Mr. Silva.
I don't know. We're having some I at least am having some technical difficulties, and I apologize.
He's hot to trot. You know,
Well,
on the AI art, we look better. And I told Ernie or Bernie earlier, I said, man, if I was a woman, I'd do us both. I mean, we look great on the AI thing. Woo.
well, I don't know where the AI art is, so we're gonna have to go with what we got here.
All right. Well, we still can do the screen share, I think. That'll be fine. So we'll be good. Anyhow, it's your
Okay.
channel, Bernie. You should be doing the, I'm going to
You got it. This is Bernie Strom, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here we are, Beatles Eternally and Bernie Strom. We are talking about why are you paying for seasons in your baseball simulations. I want to thank everybody for putting up with the false start and a couple of our different starts we did here, and I apologize, but that's because I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, there's David Chalinsky. Yay.
However, hopefully everybody will find us as the podcast is going to start. I'll try to get that artwork up here while we talk back and forth. But anyway,
Bernie is fire, right? He's fire, man. He's fire.
Tonight's subject, obviously, is why you're paying for seasons. And it was, I guess the best way to put it was the subject came up with the current release or the new release of Pocket Pennant Run with all its seasons. And then Beatles and I got talking about all the different baseball simulations that are out there that are available that provide every season or almost every season in Major League Baseball. And we were talking about how for the last 60 years, people have been purchasing seasons one at a time from the major baseball simulation companies. I'm not going to single anybody out, but we all know that Stratomatic and App are the two biggest ones, come out with their seasons every year, right?
And good single in there, Bernie. I love it.
I mean, it's no secret that if you're going to buy Strat every year, you're going to pay $40 or so, and Apple you're going to pay $60, $70, $80 for a season. And it doesn't take too much higher math to figure out that if you're going to buy 10 seasons at $70 a season, it's $700. And programs like Out of the Park Baseball, or Baseball Mogul, or many of the others we're going to mention later on in the program, for $25 or $30, you get them all. So how do you feel about that, Beatles? Why don't we start there while I try to work on this art that is not up on the screen?
Yeah. So, I think a lot of people would, we'll make the disclaimer here that we realize that, with cards and dice is, certainly, those guys have to make their living, I suppose, right, by, whatever, although they're alternatives. Again, Pocket Pennant Run, we'll bring that up later. You think about it. So right now, I'll start a conversation with digital, and let me see. So no, there are other games. Cutter Historical here says, I don't know why, but it seems Out of the Park Baseball is the only baseball game that you can get all the seasons with the purchase of the game without purchasing new seasons. So there's a little bit. We'll be enlightening folks on that one too. But so here's what I was thinking, right? In terms of digital baseball. All right. So for Strat, PC, you have to buy the season. You have to buy it. Or for APA, you got to buy the season. So let's take a really simple example. All right. And I'm just going to use the term, we're just going to use the price $40, which is lowballing APA, which is probably around what a Strat PC digital season costs. So $40 I want to create an eight-team tournament. And you guys know me, dead ball guy. So I want to do 8 teams in the 1908 National League. All right. So $50. It's going to cost me $400 to be able to do that. $400. So for $400, to put that into perspective, that would be last year's price, 10 copies of Out of the Park Baseball. It's 10 copies, $400. What else can you buy for $400? A lot. Okay. So if I want to do that, let's say in a cheaper game, a digital game like Action PC Baseball. So Dave, we know, has lots of sales, but let's pretend he doesn't. Normal season price for Action PC Baseball is $15. All right. So what are we talking here? 100. Let's see. What's Bernie? How's your math, man? Right. So 15 times 8, man, $120. So $120 that you would have to spend for 8 teams. So why? When you have, and so I know we're going to get into deeper sort of discussion here, but when you have games like Out of the Park Baseball, and I'm not saying this is not a knock on the games that make you pay for seasons, by the way. I'm an Action PC guy, sunk a ton of money into that game. But when you have options out there like Pocket Pennant Run Baseball, like Out of the Park Baseball, just to name 2, that for one low price, and Digital Diamond, there's 3. Digital Diamond Baseball every season. So there's another one for you, Cutter Historicals, Digital Diamond Baseball. Okay, now we're getting the infinite Spock mirror here, Bernie, but it's cool. It's like a Pink Floyd concert. There we are. So are we sexy or what? There we are in AI. Nice. I don't know what you did there, Bernie, but you done it right, mate.
I straightened it out.
Yeah. So do you guys, is there, so what's the advantage to buying a season at a time for a baseball game rather than getting all the seasons for one price? Maybe we can start by that without getting into the deeper subject of quality of the game or whatever. Just on the surface. Maybe
I don't really think there's an advantage. You know, I think personally, well, I started so many years ago, I think I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I started to play APA, and with APA, you looked forward to that new season every year. You didn't really think about the old seasons, and you didn't really think about going back because they didn't have them available back 40 or 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So every year you'd buy a new season and you'd send them however much money it cost. And you just did that year after year after year. But then 30, 40 years pass, and all of a sudden you got 100 years of baseball history and all these games to play. And people started going back and buying the older seasons that never existed before. And that was a big business, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Strat got into it and APA got into it, and they had every season available that was conceivable, and they made a lot of money doing it. However, in the last few years, companies like Out of the Park Baseball come out and give you every season. And if you stop and think about it, just rationally for a second,
Mm-hmm.
why would you spend thousands of dollars for seasons when you can get them for $25, $30, $40? All of them.
Right. And I think what needs special mention here, because you talked about Out of the Park Baseball. So when Marcus Heinsohn released that in 1999, at first it was all fictional baseball. Still bought it anyhow. Thought this was really cool. But in that same year, something else that was a boon to gamers everywhere. Hey, there we go. Midlife Crisis joining us here, Bernie. Is the Sean Lemon database. And if you're a baseball gamer, I look like Dan Fogelberg. Hey, Todd B. Yeah. So I should start singing leader of the band or something, whatever that song is. Anyhow, so when that Sean Lemon database came out, and if you're a gamer, a baseball gamer, a digital gamer, you know about that. All of a sudden, that changed the landscape right there. Because prior to, and I've done my homework, prior to Out of the Park Baseball, there were only two digital programs that gave you every season. All right. So one of them was was Old Time Baseball. So out of the box, it gave you everything from 1871 to 1981. You could buy the add-on disc that took you up to 1991. So Out of the Park 1 was released in 1999. So you were missing 8 seasons. Okay. The other one was APBA, Baseball for Windows. Baseball for Windows did that by using the Fan Park Encyclopedia import, which is why yours truly has all the seasons for it, because at that time I bought the game along with the Fan Park Encyclopedia to be able to do that stuff. So when the Sean Lawman database came out, all of a sudden what you saw on the baseball landscape, and Bernie and I, guys, we'll get to the comments, right? So that opened a cottage industry. All of a sudden you had Pure Sim Baseball. You had Baseball Mogul on the scene. You have one that I'll show here hopefully later, Strategy Baseball. All of these things were now because Sean Lawman, this dude, just a baseball fan, and decides to do all the stats. Everybody that played in baseball history, here it was. Now you could import. And we have a list of programs still available that you can buy that have, and you'd be surprised at the length of the list, actually, guys. So Sean Lawman, I think, just deserves a huge thanks from the baseball gaming community. And somebody told me he's done one for football and some other stuff now. But he's created that. And Bernie, so I think that he's kind of changed the paradigm, kind of rocked the boat a little bit, culminating. And now I'll turn it back over to you. It's your channel, my friend, and you are the host. But what I want to focus on is this. What Mark Cohen said recently, which I think is powerful, in a Saber interview. So, guys, Mark Cohen is the guy who develops Digital Diamond Baseball, 2 baseball games in 1, by the way. And he said, why charge for seasons when the data are freely available? Now, Mark is on Steam. He's integrated Status Pro Baseball into a fine baseball engine on its own. Any season you want, you can do either a Status Pro or Digital Diamond or both, and a system agnostic board game companion. I would say that's pretty damn near a complete package. Bernie, what do you think, man?
Well, I said it a little while ago. It makes absolutely no sense to spend thousands of dollars for seasons when you get them for free. The list is pretty extensive of games where you can get free baseball seasons. Maybe this is a time just for me to read it off.
Yep.
Out of the Park Baseball, Baseball Mogul, Pocket Pennant Run, Digital Diamond, Dombrov Baseball, Strat Max, which is the newest program out there, APBA Go, the somewhat stepchild of APBA, Diamond Mind Online, which is a product that no one even knows about.
Except me, I think.
It's there.
Yeah.
Strategic Baseball Simulator, Pure Sim, Old Time Baseball, Strategy Baseball, Dead Ball, Back to Basics, Time Travel Baseball, NPNG Plus, which has been around forever, and one that I never heard of that you brought up the other day when we were talking, Cardball Baseball.
Yep.
All those games. Now, most people probably own 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I'm one of those crazy. I'm more of a collector than I'm a player.
Mm-hmm.
Although I play mainly 3 or 4 games, I probably own them all because I want to have them. That's just a mental disorder of mine, that I need to have the game either in a box or on my hard drive, whether I play it or not. For example, today, someone told me the other day that PC Replay Baseball just came out with the 1947 season. So I just, like the crazy person I am, plunked down $25 and just downloaded the season this afternoon. I don't know when I'm going to play it, but now I have it.
Now, interestingly, Bernie, so how much does Digital Diamond cost? $29?
Same thing. You get every season.
Right. So you just spent the price of a full-fledged 2 games in 1 baseball game for a season. Not knocking you, just trying to illustrate a point.
Well,
You
the
just plunked
point
it down,
is
right?
that I have more money than brains. Uh, the
Remember,
truth
you said it, not I.
Well, like I said, I do it for a different. I'm sort of already committed to PC replay baseball, and I
Hmm.
like the game. I have stopped purchasing APA seasons. I
Hmm.
have stopped purchasing Stratomatic seasons,
Hmm.
and when I want to play, the only seasons I purchase now because I think they're reasonably priced, and I pay what $3, $4, $5 depending on what sale is on, is
Hmm.
Action PC baseball
Yeah.
and their other sports this season. If you're going to charge me $3 or $4 for season, $5 for season, I don't mind.
Right.
If you're going to charge me $80 or what Strat does, which really bothers me,
Hmm.
is they make you buy a new game every year with the new season,
Right.
and I don't know what that is. I forget, but maybe what, $70, $80 if you want to play the new season.
Right. And
I
I
think
think,
that's nuts.
well, and I think the other thing too, and I want to address, and I will get to Cutter Historical's remark about out of the park seasons and no more Garcia Parra. I'll get to that. Because that's almost a whole other show, is how much do you expect the game to have everything set up for you, and how much work are you willing to put into a game, but we'll get to that. But so it begs the question, Bernie, let's touch on that a little bit. So Strat PC, again, I don't know, how much does a digital season cost for that game?
No, I seem to remember the seasons are around $30, $40, but that's not
Okay.
the new season. You want to buy the new season, you got to buy the game too.
Right. But let's just say, just for sake of discussion here, I want to buy the 1934 season for Strat PC baseball. How much does that cost if they have it available? That's what I'm saying. What's the past? You say 30, $40, right?
Yeah, that their PC seasons are all available. They don't treat those like they treat their cards.
Okay. All right. So they have 1934, and I'm going to spend $40 on that, let's say. All right. Now I go to DK Sports Action PC Baseball, and I can buy at regular price. Dave's seasons are $15. Why? So there's another question. Why would I spend $40 for one season in Strat PC when the same season is available for $15 from another game that I'm going to argue is digitally might even be a better game because it's native. It's native a digital game. It's not an adaptation. So an action piece season, just by virtue of the fact that it's on computer, it can go beyond just those the results that you have on a card. That's just obvious. I don't care. You could have 30 results in a card, but I'd read somewhere there's something like 3,000 possibilities that can happen in any given situation. So why? So that's the why. So $40 to Strat or $15 to Dave Cook.
And
Same season, same players.
I would say,
right?
why would you pay $15 to Dave Cook? He runs a sale every week. You can get baseball seasons for $7.50 or less
You can
almost every day of the month.
Mm-hmm. So in midlife crisis, that's why he stopped buying Strat PC, and that is ridiculous. That's one of the reasons I stopped buying it. That the other reason I've gone over my channel many times. But with other programs, like so with Action PC Baseball, I don't have to buy, like, so for next year, like, or this coming December, when Action PC Baseball, however he numbers his thing, when that next one comes out, 2025, right? I don't have to buy that, but I can buy the 2024 season at the end of the year. I don't have to buy the whole game. So what I'm starting to see here, and no offense to Strat and Apple players, I don't know how many times, I hope I don't have to say this too many times, we're not knocking your game. They're great games for obvious reasons. They've been around.
I like playing them both.
Yeah, they've been around. APA 73, going on 73 years, and Strat going on 63 years. All right. They're doing something right, as Steve Tate has remarked before. Good baseball engines. But my thing is, are consumers enabling what I consider to be price gouging? How about that? Can we touch on that?
Sure.
Are we enabling APA and Strat? by
Well,
paying these crazy prices. And I'm not talking about Apago or Strat Max. I'm talking about the cards and dice products and their PC products, because Baseball for Windows is still available.
I believe that Strat players and Apple players, and I consider myself among them, by the way. I don't consider myself different than anybody else.
Hmm.
I believe the Strat and the APA purchase is emotional. It has
Okay.
to do with your ties to the game, how far it goes back, when you started playing,
Hmm.
how old you were. You're sitting in your parents' on your parents' kitchen table playing the game at night, uh, 40 or 50 years ago. And when you take out that the APA boards, and you put the APA playing field down in front of you along with the cards, somehow you're 12 years old again when you start rolling the dice. And I think that the APA Strat players have an emotional attachment to these games that's unbreakable. And it transcends the financial aspect of with OOTP or Baseball Mogul or Digital Diamond, that you get all the seasons for the same price as one season for those other games. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think you're, I think you've hit upon something huge. There is nostalgia, which, in my opinion, and I don't know, this might be just my opinion, but I find that pernicious on these companies, because they know that.
You got to
They,
stop using words I've never heard before.
so I think it's awful. It's
Thank you.
awful because because I mean, they know they look, even John Herson hanging out there, down in Alpharetta, Georgia, running APA apparently by himself, or Hal Richmond and Sons and everybody, doing the sexy websites and all these different products, and give Strat this. At least they're being a little bit more cutting edge with Strat Max and things like that. But yeah, that's just it. So they know. Midlife Crisis says right here, and he was a long time Strat player. Okay, MV had to look up pernicious too.
How
But
did he, if
anyhow,
he had to look it up, how did he know how to spell it?
it's amazing, isn't it? I know he's a Brit. What can you say? But Midlife Crisis says that Strat takes advantage of the regulars. He said, parenthetically, he states, I was one of them. They depend on Strat players to buy every year. Don't get me wrong, I still buy Strat cards, but I'm more particular now. I don't fall for the new shiny thing, which means you're not going to buy the silly black card set, I hope. But
By the way, I noticed this one didn't sell out as fast as their first one. I don't even think it's sold out yet.
I checked out the Strat boards, because I do go in there. I do have a Strat account. I go in there and look around, and people, I mean, to see Strat players upset at Strat was something I'd never encountered before. I mean, they were upset, pissed about this. It's like, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to be a game, not something like a collectible card game, what have you. But enough people bought it that they were encouraged to do it again. And that first set was like $150 or something. And somebody told me now in the aftermarket they're going for crazy prices. But
That's people don't do that unless it's an emotional attachment. They don't do that rationally.
dude, I was once emotionally attached to my girlfriend 20 years ago, but it doesn't mean I'm going to call her up and say, "Hey, baby, let's do a horizontal rumba."
Well,
I mean,
maybe,
you got to somehow say bye, right?
well, not you don't always. Some people marry their girlfriends and they have them for a lifetime.
No, I know, but I'm not.
That's
I'm
an
not one of
emotional
them.
decision.
It is an emotional decision. I think what I'm pointing out though is, like, it's somebody who's an ex and we parted, and it's like then 20 years later, hey baby, I still can't let go of you. I can't let go of you, even though I've had 8 girlfriends in between or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is this nostalgia thing, right, is strong. The force is strong with APA and Strat players. I get it. You love the games. There's nothing wrong with loving the games, but there are these developers now that have saying, wait a minute, why don't we try a different model? And so Bernie just gave you a big list, and the latter part of that list are games that came out fairly recently and were cards and dice games. Dead Ball Baseball. Every season, you just go on there. There's a website, man. You go on, do your seasons. There's the cards, print them. They look nice. Back to Basics Baseball. Same thing. Time Travel Baseball. These are cards and dice games, and they do not charge for seasons. Pocket Pennant Run does not charge for seasons. On the other side, who charges for seasons? and it's a great game. I've heard Season Ticket Baseball, ironically done by the same guy who does Sports Mogul and gives you every season digitally. So there's not right, and APBA, to quote John Herson, right? Because there was this thought, somebody had asked him, I think it was an interview. Was it with Ron Juckett and Dave Gardner, or was it with Saber? I can't remember. But he said basically, and this is the most ludicrous thing I've said, and this is not a slander or anything on Mr. Herson, but rather the statement I found to be ludicrous, that cards last longer than PDFs. And I found that really bizarre.
His interviews are a bit strange. People like him. He's a very personable guy.
Yeah, seems nice.
But his answers to most questions are rationalizations based on why he does things the way he does things. But let's not pick on him. Let's maybe move on a little bit.
We'll pick on everybody
and talk. Let's talk about these games that provide these seasons. What you like about them. Well, I'll just name the game, and then you tell me what you like, what you don't like.
I've played damn near every one of them. So. And I have almost all of them. So yeah.
Tell me what you like, what you don't like.
Okay.
Just briefly. I don't want to go into the game. I don't want to go into the games and do a review.
No.
But let's start with the ones I know you play the most.
Okay.
Out of the Park Baseball.
So Out of the Park Baseball is exactly what it says it is, an infinite baseball playground. It's the game I always dreamed of. So unlike you and unlike most people here, I started playing these games. I started playing digital games. I did not start in cards and dice, actually. I didn't start cards and dice until I started college. I never played a cards and dice baseball game until I got to college. What do I love about it? Almost anything I can imagine in baseball, I can do it in Out of the Park Baseball. That's what I love about it.
Okay. They've certainly been around a long time, 25 years.
Yep, 1999. Yep.
And since I've been playing them for about 10 years, they've improved the game greatly.
Oh, by parsecs, yes.
And hopefully they'll keep going. Well, that's one game, and it's inexpensive.
Yep. Next.
Baseball Mogul.
Okay, so Baseball Mogul was, again, one of those games I talked about that after the Sean Lahman database hit the baseball gaming world big time. That was a viable alternative to, I'm going to use a big word here again, to Out of the Park, admittedly, and I can show you guys Out of the Park 8 if you want to see it. By the way, aside, I figured out how to make it run full screen. It looks really cool. Anyhow, it was a very Byzantine interface. So Sports Mogul came out with and it was a much easier to use interface. Why do I like it? Well, why I like Sports Mogul now is it's starting to be a little bit more in some features like Out of the Park Baseball. Again, the main thing I loved about that was every season. Not every season, so let's go to the 19th century. Hey, I got everything here from 1901 to 2123. Pretty cool. I can play some baseball. I want a quick little bite-sized piece of baseball action where I don't have to go into a lot of the moving parts that are Out of the Park Baseball. I like it.
I remember when you were doing the 1967 baseball seasons with the different games.
It was accurate.
And one of the knocks against Baseball Mogul, it's not accurate. This was the only one that had Carl Yastrzemski win the Triple Crown.
The only one. Games. Yep, it was. It was really funny.
That was interesting. Moving on, Pocket Pennant Run, which is a card and dice game.
Oh, baby.
And don't spend a lot of time.
I know. I won't. I'm going to try my best.
Run, which is a cards and dice game. And
started out like
digital game is more of a companion to the cards and dice than it is like Baseball Mogul or Out of the Park.
Right.
So it's sort of a hybrid game.
It is
very much like Digital Diamond, but there you go. There's your Pocket Pennant Run.
So the neat thing about Pocket Pennant Run is it's in a lot of ways taking it wants to be both things. Now, granted, the cards and dice game, beautiful. We all know that the app has some bugs, which Craig is working on. Now, that being said, what you can do with the Pocket Pennant Run software and when it is stable, It's got a strong out of the park vibe. Take away the 3D graphics, it doesn't have that. But again, if I can imagine it, I'm already looking through ways to do things, and I'm figuring more things out with the Pocket Pennant Run software that I can do a lot of what I can do in out of the park baseball. Almost, I would say 70% I can do in Pocket Pennant Run, plus the massive database, all the Negro leagues, all the major leagues back to 1871, just like out of the park baseball. The All American Girls Professional League, Negro leagues are in there. NCAA baseball, AAA baseball. The fact that I can choose to play it strictly digitally, that cards and dice game, it's right there. I don't have to roll dice. I got crazy cats here. It's a nice little thing where I can take two teams in history, play them against each other from different eras. I can take a Negro League team and play them against a dead ball team or against the Rockford Peaches. Freedom. So there you go. Short enough?
That's short enough. And for another subject, for another night when we do this, one of the things I want to talk about, I want to compare some of these games more in depth. And for example, Pocket Pennant Run, you have, in order to complete a play, you have to click that mouse several times.
Yeah, at most 4 times, but yes.
Okay. Unlike Out of the Park or Mogul. So that's a subject for, is it really that convenient? That's a subject for another day. Digital Diamond.
Oh, baby. Again,
which is a game I love too.
All right. So why Mark Cohen is one of my heroes as far as baseball sim developers is going back to his quote, why charge for seasons when the data are freely available? So in this game, guys, and if you don't have it, you should pick this game up. It does 3 things wonderfully. Number one, I've never seen a digital baseball game embraced by this community the way the Digital Diamond has been embraced, because it's a system agnostic board game companion. Okay, number one, you play Apple, you play Strat, you play, we'll get to Status Pro in a second. You play season ticket baseball, whatever, right? What's one of the big things that cards and dice guys have had to deal with? Keeping track of stats, playing out all the games in the season, everything like that. Now Digital Diamond Baseball comes along and says, I got you covered. That's number one. Number two, it's a hell of a good digital baseball game on its own. It's very, very good. Number three, what's integrated into it? And if you're a cheap bastard like me, you want value for money, there's a whole nother baseball game included with it. Status Pro Baseball in its entirety is built right into Digital Diamond Baseball. And with version 12, if you have the physical Status Pro game, guess what? You can print cards right from Digital Diamond Baseball to use with Status Pro if you prefer to play that way. What can you say? Every season, you can do fictional universes. You can do all kinds of stuff. It's as close to out of the park baseball without being out of the park baseball. That's why I love it.
Well, let's go to the next one, which is a game
Jeff.
I'm not a fan of.
Okay.
Not because the game isn't a good game. The graphics, I think, are too small. It's hard to maneuver. Dombrov Baseball.
Yo, I knew that was going to come up. So Dombrov Baseball is cool. And it, definitely the graphics, the ball flight. Oh, Maron, it sucks. But. So Sports Illustrated Baseball came out, the board game, I believe 1970, 71, somewhere around there. They had 2 seasons for the thing, and that was it. It died. So Dombrov Baseball has taken Sports Illustrated Baseball, but now with the Lahman database, here we go again with Sean Lahman. You have every season in baseball. You can either do it by a Lahman import. He also has almost 100 seasons available, freely downloadable right from inside the program. If you want to do that, you can play that game. If you have the proper dice and the charts, you can play Sports Illustrated Baseball right in there. There's a board game that Jester hates that I love that he did on his channel back in 2019, and I bought it. And it's basically Sports Illustrated Baseball without the name on it, and it comes with something like 2,500 players. Why do I like it? Again, it's a very utilitarian program in one respect, but there's freedom of play. I can create an all-time teams from all kinds of different eras. And you guys, you know me well enough. You know I love to do things like that. Again, the recurring theme for me is going to be freedom. Is that the best game out there in the market? No, it's not. I think Richard still has a lot of work to do, and I don't know if he's listening to this or not. But, you know, I've offered him some suggestions, and there's some he's flatly shot down. So that's why that game doesn't get much play on my channel. But I do like it, and I'd like to see it develop further.
Diamond Mind Online.
Diamond Mind Online drives me nuts, and I'll tell you why. Every season is available in that game for free. The app is free, okay? Now, Diamond Mind Baseball, you have to buy seasons, and they're not cheap. They are pretty much about the price of PC replay seasons. Okay. Here's the problem with the app is that you pick any two teams from history, play them against each other, whatever. About every 2 to 3 at bats, there's an ad, and you have to click to go to Diamond Mind's site within the app. So if there's a game on here that I would say I do not recommend, it's Diamond Mind Online. I have looked. In fact, it's like the ginger-headed stepchild. That should give Envy a little laugh. It's a nice little Brit and Irish. We say that too. But it's like they want to, because you can't find it on their forums. Very little discussion about it. In fact, they didn't even announce it was coming out a couple years ago, Bernie. I just kind of found out about it. But I would not suggest you guys get it. But the funny thing is, it looks great. Player pictures look crisp. There's ambient stadium sounds. There's a nice looping crowd. And it was like, I'll buy the damn thing. I would pay $30 for that. Let me buy it. But there's no way to buy it. You got to deal with their intrusive ads. And there's another game you didn't mention, Out of the Park Go.
I'm going to save that for last. So
in your list, I didn't hear that come up, but maybe it was there.
No, I didn't mention it on the list, but it's going to come up in a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to do I'm going to bunch of 4 of these games together.
Hit me, baby.
Some of them, if not all of them, can be purchased on a website that you sent me to once, and you can mention that website in a minute or so.
Yeah.
But the 4 I'm going to mention are Strategic Baseball, Pure Sim, Old Time, and Strategy Baseball.
Okay.
Those are all older games, correct?
Right. I'd like to pull Old Time Baseball out and take a minute to talk about it on its own.
Okay, that's fine.
But for now, okay. So Strategic Baseball Simulator has been around, my God, I think since around Windows 95 days, maybe before that. It's free online, got a huge player library, every season available. The program is free. It plays a damn good game of baseball. It's very, like, the ballpark pictures look nice, but it's very DOS. So just warning you, there's like when you have to make commands, and it's very much its DOS roots are strong. But you want a nice little, and you can play seasons in it, do whatever you want, things like that. Just beware that it's a very archaic interface. All right. There's another game called Strategy Baseball, and we'll lump that in with Pure Sim Baseball. So Pure Sim Baseball put out by Sean Sullivan. Again, in that time when people were trying to respond to Out of the Park's very difficult interface. So Pure Sim came out around that time, late 2000, I think 2006, 2007, something like that, if memory serves. Okay. Came with every season. And again, you could do it all. So Sean Sullivan had eventually, instead of self-publishing it, went to Wolverine Studios. No, Wolverine Studios, you guys know, they're still around. They do basketball, hockey, football, whatever. They do a bunch of sports. Now, I only ever got one side of the story. So Pure Sim, the game was messing up or something. So I'd written to Wolverine Studios tech support saying, hey, guys, I'm having some trouble here. And they said, we don't carry that game anymore, blah, blah, blah. Well, I thought, this is BS, man. I paid money for this game. So I called and talked to the owner of Wolverine Studios, really nice guy. And he gave me the story about why. And it had to do with, again, only his side of the story. And I know Sean Sullivan is in the community. So, Sean, if you somehow catch this later, don't take this as a slander, but nobody ever got your side of the story. Wolverine said that there was some breach of contract, and things like that, and some other issues, and that's why they dropped the game. So Sean, in his largesse, thank you very much, Sean, made the game available for everybody, which is why I was able to put it in our Discord. And the link is there somewhere if you guys want to download it. Pure Sim Baseball is there. A lot of fun. One of the powerful things about it and its brother, Strategy Baseball, is how deep you can set manager tendencies by game situation and by inning. First game I ever saw that could do that was Pure Sim Baseball. Could do it to that depth. Well, Diamond Mind, I think, was the first. It was the first that I saw. So Strategy Baseball was created by a guy named Crash, was his nickname. He was one of the original developers. Yeah, the Crash Davis, right? And Crash, funny thing for a computer game. But he was one of the co-developers of Pure Sim Baseball. And so he took part of that engine. And I have it up on my screen right now, but whether we'll do the screen share or not is another thing. And basically, it's like a companion every season, and it adds some things that you can't do in Pure Sim Baseball. But Pure Sim Baseball does some things that you can't do in Strategy Baseball. It was free from the beginning. I also put that in our Discord. Now to Old Time Baseball. Old Time Baseball, developed by Don Daglow, and you can catch a great interview with Don Daglow that was done by Saber. And it's a must watch. You want to talk about a guy who was a pioneer, not only in baseball sims, but in computer gaming. Bernie, that Intellivision baseball game that you love to play so much, that's the guy who developed it. It was Don Daglow. The guy's a legend. And he's talked about if he could get the funding to do another Old Time Baseball, he would. So very quickly, that started life as an expansion to Tony La Russa Baseball 3. That's all it was. You could buy these other seasons. Well, Stormfront Studios, who was since eaten up by the evil empire known as Electronic Arts, saw an opportunity and created the Old Time Baseball game. Everything from 1871 to 1981. You can do fantasy drafts. You can do, you can mix players, teams from all eras. You could do a McGreevy League in this in Old Time Baseball. The ballparks. Osborne Associates, an architectural firm, supplied blueprints for 16 classic ballparks. And a lot of people look at those ballparks and say, those look amazing. And I remind them, it's like, yeah, and that's from 1995. They're beautiful. And then, of course, you had Mel Allen broadcasting, always good stuff. And again, that game gave you an incredible amount of freedom. Does have its issues. I've done some tutorial videos on how to get Old Time Baseball to run the way you want it. So there you go. There's that.
All right. We've got most of the ones that are left, all of the ones that are left to talk about. Oh, by the way, do you have that website, the name of that website, or you want to put it up again on the Discord? And if someone wants to find out where to go buy some of these games, Old Time Baseball in particular.
Oh, yeah.
They can go to my Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Click on our Discord link.
Right.
Excuse me. Hold on one second.
Bernie's hitting his Talamore. He's hitting his Talamore due there.
Yeah. Anyway, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll find our Discord link. You go there, and Beatles will have listed the link to the website that you can get these games. Mm-hmm. For almost nothing. I forget how much it is. $10, $12 a month to join the website.
You mentioned Out of the Park Go. I wanted to touch on that one really quick.
I'm going to get there for a second. Hold on.
All right, big guy.
I'm throwing all three of them together: StratMax, Apago, and Out of the Park Go. I'm throwing all three of those in together.
You're the man, Bernie. You're the man. All right. So
I'm gonna before you start though, StratMax I like.
Okay. I do too, but I
like their interface. I like the fact that every season's available. I love the fact that it plays this super advanced version, and I don't have to relearn the game every time I play it.
Amen to that too. I like it for all those reasons too.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's expensive at $20 a month. You can
that's why I don't like it.
You can get it at $10 a month during some of their sales if you buy a year's subscription. Even less than that, it's $100, I think. Mm-hmm. for 12 months. But I don't have a lot of respect for money, so it's not about money. It's about convenience. I
Right.
think the Strat Max game is the way the future of that company is going to be, because eventually everybody that buys the cards and dice game will have passed away, and people aren't going to buy the game anymore.
Exactly.
And if the PC game doesn't die because it's so old, people will be sick of playing a game that was built 25 years ago and never upgraded.
You're killing me over here. You're killing me over here. Yeah.
So I think that StratMax is the future. ApaGo, you can talk about it if you'd like.
Yeah.
I think ApaGo is the biggest waste of time and money on the face of the earth.
Well, yes, it is. So look, number one, if you're considering, and I'm an Apple player, okay? So that being said, please remember that. If you're going to choose between ApaGo and StratMax all day, all night, every minute of the day. ApaGo is, and there's nothing wrong with the Appa basic game, but hear me out. For basically the same price you're paying with StratMax, you're getting every season, but you get one ballpark. You can only play basic Appa on that. That's it. Okay. Now, with Baseball for Windows, which, yes, it is still available. And I'm just going to give everybody a hint. If you join a site called Digital Skybox, you will find, among other things, the Fan Park Encyclopedia for free. That's all I'm going to say. Now, the Baseball for Windows is based on the Appa Master game. Okay, so it's already that. You've got Ernie Harwell in there, but also, guess what? I could do a Fields of Dreams or Shanks or McGreevy League in Baseball for Windows. I can't do that in ApaGo. In fact, I can't do that in StratMax either. But StratMax is much, much better. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger on StratMax was Pocket Pennant Run. That was the only reason, was the price. I can't justify it right now. I've watched you play it. I watched Al play it. I watched a couple other people. It's attractive. It's cool. I wish the Strat cards looked more like the Strat cards, have some nice borders in there, but that's the artist in me being nitpicky. But it's good. But that being said, all right, you can replay every All-Star game in StratMax. Let's talk about StratMax for a minute. You play every All-Star game. You can replay a season. You can play along with current season. Okay, nice. Now, the only way for me to replay every All-Star game in, let's say, Out of the Park Baseball is I have to recreate them. I have to recreate them also in Action PC, a baseball game that you have to buy the seasons for. All right, so I would have to own the, which I do, but I'm just, for sake of argument, I'd have to own the 1980 season to create the 1980 All-Star game. And I'd have to create it in Out of the Park Baseball, even having the seasons. All right, but it's the things that I can't do in StratMax that kind of bug me. But that also gets to the point of Out of the Park Go, which I've got to mention it now because I'm dying to. Out of the Park Go has basically every feature that StratMax has. And the game is $9.95. And if you want to buy every season from 1901 to 2023, it will cost you a whopping $20 for everything. So for $29.95, I can do everything that StratMax can do and take it with me. It's never going to be as comprehensive as the main Out of the Park game at all. But I'm having a blast right now. Offline, I'm replaying the 1934 season, and I'm replaying the 2015 season in that game. And I'm not paying a subscription fee. It runs beautiful. Well, Bernie, you have it.
I love it.
It runs better than the PC game.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I think that the graphics is better than the PC game. Correct.
But I guess, we've dodged the question. Why are people, and so it's like Todd B, you couldn't have brought this up at a better place. And Bernie, I don't know if you want to click on his comment to highlight this, because I think this is huge. Do you see the one about Appa? It's the very last comment in the chat.
Well, I would, except the way I have this set up,
okay,
it won't work.
All right. So Todd says here he's talking to David Shalinsky, and he says, David, if you want to try APBA, take a look at National Pastime Next Generation, a free version, which is much like APBA. Now, here's a weird thing I've found. There are APBA. So the APBA formula, unlike Strat, was never protected. That's why Bernie showed me a couple sites, whatever. There are actually APBA card generators online. I've had Dwayne look at the cards. He said, yep, that's completely accurate. So, but I've had APBA. I'm not going to play that because it's not APBA, but it is APBA. So people will still pay that $60, $70, $80 per season when there are APBA clones out there. They are APBA baseball. So why is that? Is it the brand? It's the cards look the same. The chart, everything's the same. It's APBA, but it's free.
Emotional. We talked about it.
Because of 4 letters, right? So in other words, if I give you this and say, here, play this game, and it feels familiar, and you're an APBA guy, yeah, but it's not APBA. But you just played APBA. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, actually, it is. NPNG Plus is the game that the guy stole to build APBA in 1951.
It's the original game, right?
It's the original game. But that's a subject for another show.
But
Deadball baseball.
But no, let me say, I'm sorry. I hate to step in, but it's not. Because if anything, Bernie, in my estimation at least, that's the strongest argument against, because now there's an alternative for APBA players, and that's not the only one, by the way. I know a couple others. In fact, Ron Bernier, and I think longtime baseball gamers know that name. Ron Bernier came out. I don't think it's available anymore. It was called Valhalla. APBA. It was an APBA, but it was better. And Ron Bernier was a big guy in the APBA community. You can find all kinds of stuff. Go look around at the stuff that Ron Bernier did for the APBA community. He didn't work for APBA or anything like that. So that, while I understand what you're talking about, my friend, about the emotional attachment, is it that strong that really those 4 letters mean something when you can play a game that is that game? It just can't carry the moniker APBA.
Yeah, I think it is.
Wow. Okay.
Just my opinion.
I wouldn't, if I got back into Cards and Dice APBA, there's no way I would buy the APBA baseball game when I could just get those. Why would I?
You wouldn't, unless you had an emotional attachment.
And I played a lot of APBA in college, but you know what? I just want a good baseball game. Anyhow, I'm sorry. I've been taking up so much here.
Just briefly, the only other games I wanted to mention were the ones, the Dead Ball, Back to Basics, Time Travel, and Card Ball.
Right.
They're all Cards and Dice games.
Yeah.
I believe Time Travel, Back to Basics, and Dead Ball are all PDF games, correct?
They are all PDF games. That's correct. However, for a lot of those games like Back to Basics and Time Travel, you can actually get the physical game components for those. And you can for Dead Ball too. So you can choose if you actually want to get the components. And Dead Ball is really nice because he creates these really nice books and stuff like that too, like these really cool ebooks and things like that. And the rating system is really, really interesting. So guys, do yourself a favor if you want, and just Google Dead Ball Team Generator and watch how it's really cool the way it generates cards for that game. It's cool. It's by W.K. Akers, whatever, is the guy who developed. It's not just Dead Ball Baseball. It's all of baseball, all of Major League Baseball.
I think we're gonna take some of these games we talked about and do shows about them. I can't believe an hour passed this quickly talking about this stuff.
Well, I've been doing all the talking, and I'm sorry. It's just
you're the reason.
I'm very passionate about this.
If you wanted me to do the talking about these games, the show would last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're the one who knows the stuff. That's why you're doing the talking. Did we leave anything out? I guess we should end the show the same way we started it.
So here's the thing.
And ask, why are you paying for seasons?
Yeah. Why are you paying for seasons? And we haven't talked about the games that enough, I think, that you are paying seasons for. So let me put this out here. What makes a PC replay season, quote unquote, better than an out of the park season? And I want to get, so Cutter Historical way back said, and I promised him that I would address, he says, the issue with out of park seasons was that it's from the start, when I want to play the 2004 Red Sox for his Legends League, Nomar's on the roster, and we all know he didn't last the full year. Well, I think maybe if not for another podcast here, I would like to talk about those things on my channel, maybe as part of a baseball chin wag, or one that, here is we'll leave the question hanging. I'll answer that simply.
Well, you don't really need to leave it hanging.
Just take no more off the roster. But the deeper question is how much do you expect the game to already do the work for you? Right.
Well, if you play out of the park and you're playing an as played season, Nomar will disappear the day he's supposed to off the roster.
Yeah.
Automatically.
Right. Yeah, he will. If you set everything up. I mean, God, we could do a whole podcast on the intricacy of baseball sims, and that might be something fun to talk about at some point, because let's face it, there's no baseball sim on the market more complex and intricate than out of the park baseball. None. There's just none. That thing's insane.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I want to thank you, Beatles, for adding all your knowledge to this 1 hour we just spent talking about this stuff. I also want to apologize to the viewers for the false start, having to start and stop a couple of times. I don't know. I went brain dead, and I am not a computer expert, and I know that StreamYard is really easy to use. However, for some reason, I had trouble today. So I want to thank the people that did stop by and checked in. Todd B., Midlife Crisis, Jeff Hunter, David Zelinsky, MV over in the British Isles, Midlife Crisis, who Cutter Historical was in earlier, David Zelinsky,
Silva,
Mike Silva, of course.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, Beatles. I appreciate the hour I spend with you once a month on this show. It's a lot of fun. We'll do it again next month.
Next time, let's pick a subject you're really, really passionate about, so people don't have to listen to me prattling on for 45 minutes out of an hour. But maybe, would it be fair, Bernie, would be cool in the comments in your section, anybody that catches this later, why not put in the comments why pay for seasons? Yeah, we always have to mention Midlife Crisis twice, by the way. Yeah, okay. And thanks to Midlife Crisis. Yeah, that goes back to the McGreevy League. And there's a funny joke behind that, so we have to mention him twice. So there.
Okay, you got it. Anyway, thanks everybody again. We'll be.
But we still have 2 minutes and some seconds left. What are you doing here?
It's after 8:00.
Dude, it's 57 minutes and 24 seconds on my side. We've been on.
Okay, well, what do you want to talk about for 2 minutes? We'll talk about it.
Let's talk about you.
What is it that you want to talk about?
How come you don't mind spending all this money on seasons? Let's ask you.
Well, because I'm 73 years old, and what am I going to do with my money now?
Give it to me? I don't know.
I guess I could do that.
Get me a date with Kate Beckinsale, man. That'd be all right. That's better than playing a baseball sim.
If I had a direct line to Kate Beckinsale, I'd use it myself.
I hope Mrs. Burney didn't hear that.
Oh, well, someone will hear it. Anyway, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month.
See you guys.